I'm going to go ahead and get started. With the dental firm, I took on and learned SQL and just learned the real starting basics of coding. Yes, a few of those sort of more advanced tools to put in my toolkit. And from there, I started looking for opportunities just like you guys did. Like how can I go a little further down this path? Current state of healthcare in the United States has a lot of things that are working against it. You can find a great amount of detail on these sort of things, while there still is tremendous innovation and fantastic medicine being practiced. There's a lot of things that challenge the overall U.S. health system. And so the first one that's probably on people's minds is cost. The cheat code that this presents is keeping this framework front of mind to always use when problem solving, wherever possible. If there's opportunity to automate, improve, or supplement that information, it should be looked at if possible. I was working for an accounting firm in West Virginia while the wife was in medical school, and a physician group hired us to come and take a look because they were kind of concerned that the billing service that they were using just every year got more and more expensive. And so really they were just trying to understand, like, what's going on? Are we really doing that many more claims or something? Or what's out of whack here? So if I were to ask you, what will the first number of this math problem be? I can tell you, based on the distribution on the right, that there is a 30% chance that the answer to this is 1. We'll have more time for questions and directions and stuff. We can also go back and hit any topics that are of interest. But I want to talk through what I'm asking you for in our assignment. And I'm doing my best to say, put this into a real world example of a way that you might actually have to use. For Excel, these would be the 4 most common data sources that you would be using. Data, get data, and before we chose from file, here we would choose from database. The most common type of database would be a SQL Server database, that very first option there. Also another sort of Microsoft-centric technology. And then to the right, you're going to see the window that would pop up. I'm going to show you how to model a relationship in Excel. Data record level, looking for identifiers. I mean, that's a good starting point. Something like a patient identifier, an encounter identifier, things like that. Something that would tell you this must represent a unique thing in this data set. So you see that happen in there where the mean really gets pulled in. And so it's important to know the shape of your data, because in that situation, your mean is not a very good descriptor of the center of that data. And so it would be common for me to create a line graph that has the average value for something, and then plus and minus 1 standard deviation on each side of that. And so what's really interesting about that is if nothing changes, that just looks like 2 other parallel lines that follow my average. But if my data starts to widen out, those 2 lines are going to start to widen out. And if my data starts to get skinny and very consistent with low variation, my standard deviation starts to shrink. I don't understand where the prejudice comes from, but there is a huge prejudice against pie charts in analytics. I don't know if I fully get it, but like every course I've taken has been like, don't ever use a pie chart. I don't fully get that. I think there's times that it's just fine. What they typically point to is that like the human eye and brain cannot pick up the difference in proportion on a pie chart unless there's only very few categories and it's a really big difference. I'm sure they would love to hear any other tips and tricks you'd be giving to someone headed new into analytics or healthcare.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love talking about this because visualization is really, it's one of the most powerful things at your disposal when it comes to trying to tell a story with data. And to illustrate what I mean by that, close your eyes for just a second and imagine a table of data that has 24 columns and let's say 100 rows in it. So definitely not a big data situation, right? But your job, every one of the cells in this data has a different number in it. And your job is to count up the number of occurrences of the number 5 in those cells. So how long do you think it's going to take you to do that?
Thanks, everybody. And we will see you next week.